Off the ball. This is News Talk.
Welcome back. It is Thursday's Off the Ball football show to come from 9. We'll be joined by Kenny Cunningham as we look ahead to the brand new Premier League season. If you missed John Giles, well, you can get that right now on the OTB Sports app. Simply subscribe to all our football coverage is the easiest way to get that. Search for OTB Sports in either the App Store or the Play Store. Now we're going to turn our attention to Gaelic games because, well, the inter-county game is going to crank up a gear this weekend. Inter-county training set to resume ahead of the start and, well, the resumption of the leagues and the start of the championships towards the end of October. But for the last few months, the club player has very much had their day in the sun. And what does it mean going forward for the GAA in terms of the calendar? To talk about that, I'm joined by two star clubmen now, but very much inter-county stars back in the day. Shane McGrath, former Tipperary hurler, is with us. Evening, Shane. Sure
hey, how's it going, Nathan?
Shane can hear us there. And Darren O'Sullivan is with us as well in Glen Bay. Is that the Atlantic we can see behind you there?
That's it. I'd come out of the bar restaurant and come a bit down towards the beach because the network's not great in the restaurant, unfortunately.
You're doing a bit of Fulch Ireland work there for them, I think.
Look, I'm trying to do my bit.
How's all in Glen Bay?
Good, yeah. We had a good summer. I think half the country were down in Kerry there for a couple of months, so things are quietening down now a small bit.
Yeah, how's business been? I'd imagine, as you say, half the country has been in Kerry, but it's might well be a long winter.
Yeah, that's exactly. We're a seasonal business, so like we're in there last couple of weeks. So look, we had a good 2 months or so, but yeah, look, you just try and keep going. I suppose we were lucky enough with a lot of space down here, and we kind of set our stall out early that we were going to be, I suppose, tick all the boxes, maybe be extra safe, and it paid off for us. I think people felt comfortable coming in. And when all these new regulations were coming in, we were already doing it. So the staff here were great, and we just ploughed on. We got on with it, and I think the locals kind of understood that we were going to be strict, and they all bought into it.
Great. It's good to hear. You're still very much involved in the club game. You got a county semi-final at the weekend, Mid-Kerry up against Dr. Crokes. I guess that's one of the big differences between club and county. There's no way you'd be taking a phone call from us 2 days before a big county game.
No, definitely not. I definitely wouldn't be chancing it before a county game. No, I'd probably be definitely be put on the bench for that. But no, look, it's great. I wasn't sure if I was going to get involved with Mid-Kerry this year, but a buddy, one of my best mates, took over the team this year, Peter O'Sullivan. He asked me to stay involved because I suppose the squad was so young. So look, it's just great to be playing football, playing competitive football, and I think it's been great for the club game down here not to be pulling and dragging with the county team. The fellas are left off, they're playing their games, they're enjoying it, and you're not trying to juggle the county and the club.
How different has it been then this summer? Has it been far more enjoyable? Has the club game been a totally different experience?
Yeah, probably has. I suppose I'm coming from a different angle that I'm around a while. I'm a bit more relaxed about my football at the moment. I don't overthink it as I probably would have if I was playing for Kerry. But yeah, look, I think it's probably been easier for the lads that they're not trying to juggle two different teams. They're not trying to juggle managers, keeping them all happy that they can focus on the club championship, and then knowing that you play well with your club, you're going to be going into the county with a bit of confidence, and that the county manager and the selectors have been watching you. So I think it's been good. It's worked out really well down here.
Shane, what about the story up in Tipperary? I know you're out of the championship at this stage, but in comparison to the last couple of years since you stepped away from the inter-county scene, has this been the best summer of club hurling there's been?
Oh, I think without doubt, Nathan. It has been a tip anyway.
Has it been the first summer of club hurling there's been?
I suppose, yeah. I suppose the first summer of club hurling for a while. We're just, I suppose like the Kerry boys, we're lucky that our county team is usually getting to the latter stage of the championship. So, it's most of the top club hurlers kind of are normally in America maybe this time of year or somewhere around the world doing some hurling or doing a bit of travelling. So, and they don't usually miss much club action. But I just think it's been a great club championship. Just looking at the games there on telly and looking at the live streams, and I suppose in Tipperary in particular, the matches have been brilliant. And it's been great results. And I suppose the entertainment it's given, I think the live streaming has been a huge success, and I hope, regardless of how things pan out over the next year or so, that I hope the live stream continues, because just even talking to friends who are in Australia or America and they're able to watch the club game at home, it's just brilliant, and it keeps that connection for them. So hopefully county boards will keep that on, but I suppose from our own club's point of view, like that, we had maybe 2 or 3 guys who were, you know, borderline, were they going to come back or not? And because they knew the window was so small and they knew that games were guaranteed, it was a no-brainer for them, and they came back and they really enjoyed the hurling. And I suppose I'm like Darren now as well, kind of at the coming to the other end of the career. Like, you know, I'm 36 now, 2 kids, but I just really enjoyed the club this year because, you know, we knew that it was a small window, and county finals are on Saturday and Sunday week here in Tip, and county teams are going to get back training next week. And, you know, I just think, I honestly think, Nathan, it's a no-brainer for the future. If you were to do a survey with club players, I think they'd be unanimous that the split season is the way forward. And, you know, let the county guys have the first part of the year and be done in when you know, June or July. And, you know, let the club guy, rather than slogging it out in January and February, which no club guy wants, for a chance of a game in April, and that's, you know, that's the way it is in Tip. You might have a game, you mightn't have a game, and you're training for 3 months. Whereas I think let the lads back in maybe May or June, for pre-season or whatever you want to call it, with the club, in good weather, good pitches, and lads know that they're guaranteed their games come the end of July and August, and they know, you know, your county championships will be racked up in by, you know, maybe October. And, you know, I think anybody who's worrying about a bit of burnout because your club is going into November, December, I don't really get that, because it means your club's in probably a Munster final, or, you know, getting ready for an All-Ireland club series. So I just think the split season has been brilliant anyway, Nathan, in my opinion. You're
both in a similar position in that you're looking at it in a different way than you would have been 10 years ago, when you were very much in the heat of the inter-county season. When you think back, Shane, to that time, what was your relationship with the club like? Were you happy to go in for sessions? Were you allowed to go in for sessions when you were with the county team? Or was it a stress on you of, well, yeah, I'm here, but I'm not really here mentally, all I'm thinking about is Tipperary?
Yeah, like Darren said, I suppose you kind of enjoy the hurling kind of a bit more when you're finished with the county, because you don't overthink it, and everything you do, everything you're doing every minute of the day is geared towards, can I be the best now at the weekend playing for Tip, whereas, you know, when you are with the county, going back club training, I tried to go down, but you just don't feel right. You're just there watching on, you're not really doing anything. There might be some nights you might go down, you might just help out maybe with, you know, doing water or something, but you're just not really part of it, and all you're doing kind of really is, you're kind of just draining yourself, maybe going over there and just being over there and knowing you can't really do anything, or you're not going to take the chance of doing anything. So for me, and what I find with a lot of county lads is, they mightn't even go down to club training because they're so drained from all the going on of the county that week, of just maybe packing the gear bag 5 or 6 times, that just to get into the car and drive over to club training for a lot of lads, it could be another strain or a drain on them, but, you know, and lads, and maybe some people listening going, oh, you know, it's club before county. But look, I'll be totally honest, Nathan, when you're with the county, it's county,
yeah,
and to try and succeed with the county, that's the way it has to be, and that's just being totally honest from someone who was lucky enough to do both. And I love my club and I do anything for my club, but if you're with the county is number one. And this just goes back on my point about the split season thing, to let the county be number one for the first half of the year, and not be pulling and dragging lads between things, and let lads be the best they can be for their county, and then let them come back and be the best they can be for their club. Because I seen it firsthand this year. The county lads were immense for their club, and their club were better because they had these county lads driving them on a training. I just take my own club again, for example. If we 2 or 3 county guys, and we're a small club, and they weren't that training, it's a different training session. Whereas if you have those couple of county guys with experience and the respect of everyone else there, if they say, lads, we need to pick it up, training just becomes better automatically, because the county guys are there. And the club championships have been brilliant because the county guys have been there. They've been involved and immersed in the tactics of the club. They've got to know their best friends better, but for hurling with them non-stop for the few months. And I just think it's been brilliant. But for me, it's very hard when you're fully in the county to kind of be involved in the club as well. And that's in my opinion, Nathan, anyway.
Sure, yeah. And Darren, that relationship between club and county has always been an incredibly difficult one, not just for players, but I think for everybody with an interest in the GAA, because the old cliche is the club is the heart of it. It's where it all starts. It's where it'll all end. but everybody's obsession is with the inter-county game, and the rhythm of the summer is around the inter-county game and thousands of people going to the big venues. And like, it's interesting listening to Shane there. I wonder, would you have said that when you were a player, Shane, about when it's county, it's all about county? It almost feels as though current players can't say that. And when you talk to them off the record, they do feel this massive drag towards the club, not in a negative way necessarily, but that you're still expected to be around. Yet particularly in Kerry, there's this massive judgment on a Sunday by the entire county, and they don't really care what you're doing with your club. That's a very difficult balance and an awful lot of pressure to put on amateur players. Darren, I don't know if you want to hop in on that.
Oh yeah, I wasn't sure.
You're just out looking at the Atlantic. You're too relaxed there.
I was just taking it all in. No, I agree 100% with what Shane was saying, and I was the same. I suppose you start off and you start with your club, but your aim is to get on the county team. Your aim is to play at the highest level. So for me, it was, I want to play for Kerry. Yeah, you want to play with your club, but you want the big days, and they're with Kerry. So like, it was very hard. And like that, like Shane was saying, you train so hard with the county. You know, it's the evenings that you don't have something, you just want to relax. You don't really want to think about football. And some people don't really understand that. Some people kind of judge you that you should be down there, you should be helping out and stuff like this. But mentally, you need that break. So I think this year, not having to juggle, I think has been a massive benefit for players and for the clubs, because the players can go, they're 100% concentrated on the club game. They're not worried about county training. I just think it's been brilliant. I always found the juggle between club and county quite difficult, and I did find that the season went on for so long. I played very few games with the club throughout the year.
Particularly a small club like Glenbeigh as well, where like they want you and they need you.
Well, that was the thing. Yeah, we were progressing, and obviously when I was there, we were a different team, so they had to get used to playing without me. And then when I come in, I might be upsetting the apple cart slightly, because my game mightn't suit what the club were trying to do, and I was trying to buy into what they were doing. So like, it's very difficult on clubs, because they obviously want you to do well for you, and it's great for the club, but they're losing you for a lot of the year. And I was fortunate enough that Kerry were always competing around September, late September, and sometimes when you finish up, you're mentally and physically drained, because you've been going since November, December. And as soon as Kerry finished, within a week, you're expected, right, that's done, that's dusted, focus on the club now. And I found, especially when you're younger, it is quite mentally and physically draining, because there's so much attention on the county game at the moment, or for as long as I was involved in, you know, everyone does want to talk to you about it, which it can be draining as well. So sometimes by the time I got back to the club, I had nothing left in me. I was empty.
In terms of a split season, how important for you, Darren, would summer football be for the club game? Or is it just a case of actually being able to plan out your year the way, say, soccer players can at around this time of the season, where they'll get a fixture list, and really you can't get games called off? If there's a wedding, it doesn't matter. You're playing every Saturday or Sunday. You have the odd weekend off here. You know where your cup games are, and you can actually make a plan for your life. If it came out in the split season meant that actually the split season wasn't starting till, say, mid-September for club players, would that be a big issue if you wanted the tradition of the inter-county season going back with All-Ireland finals in mid-September? Would you have an issue with that, or do you really feel the club players need to be out playing during the summer?
No, I think they need to be out playing in the summer. I definitely do anyway. I'm a sunshine player. No, I just think if you have club players waiting until mid-September to go playing in the muck and the gutter, that's opening another can of worms. I do think, like Shane was saying, we're playing on good pitch at the moment. The standard of the club game has been through the roof. I think for the bit of fair play, like the majority of players are club players, all the county players, when they go back with their clubs, they want to be performing as well. And you want to perform on good pitches and good weather. You don't want to be having to go to waterlogged pitches and it's wind and rain around the place. So I do think for it to work, the club has to be in the summer.
Shane, this season is going to be different because, well, inter-county training is due to resume, I think, this weekend. And we haven't heard too many rumours over the past few weeks about inter-county get-togethers. I think because there was such a public outcry earlier in the summer that Well, inter-county managers, they had no choice but to abide by the rules. But listen, we all know how dastardly inter-county managers are. And next year, if we do have a split season and the club gets 4 or 5 months maybe earlier in the year, do you think there's going to be a crossover where the inter-county managers are going to be trying to get the players? Or actually, do you think, do you leave club completely till the end of the summer?
Yeah, for me, I would leave it. Yeah, I would I wouldn't have any club championship games on during the intercounty. I just think it causes so much hassle for the players involved, for the management, for everyone, because everybody in the club wants your player, like to play, your intercounty player, to play for the club, right? But they also want to go up to Croke Park and see their club's name on a programme. And you're running, like, you are running a risk, like if there's a club game on and 2 or 3 club games on, and it's a risk of injury, like, and a guy can't play for his county, like, and I mean, it's just, there's nothing better for you to go up on All Ireland final day or All Ireland final weekend, and your club name pops up on the big screen, and like you're just so proud, like, and it just means more. It always means more when your own club is involved, and you're running the risk of your guy not being able to do that for his county or for her county, like if the club thing is on. So for me, I would keep it separate. I wouldn't have a crossover at all. Like with the way we've been doing it in TIP, is that there's been maybe 1 or 2 club championship games in April. Maybe 3 max, and what more often than not happens is 2 or 3 guys will pick up an injury that rules them out for the year. And I just think, I know, like, you could get injured at any time. You get injured at any time in internal game. You get injured, at anything in training, something small. But I just think don't run the risk, and don't cause the hassle. Like, don't put the player in between a rock and a hard place of having to choose, like, or having to go play the club football game if he's on the intercounty hurling panel, or vice versa. I just think let the intercounty, let the league and the championship, let it be run off. I mean, look at the way it's going to be run off this year, and I guarantee we'll have some fantastic games. And as Darren said, look at the club championship we're after having. So, like, get the best of both worlds. I think it's very doable. Like the club thing, I know some people are traditionalists and they want the hurling final to go back in the first Sunday of September. But you know what? There was nothing wrong with the last couple of All Ireland hurling finals in August either. They were great days. They were great occasions. So they were. And I just think, let the intercounty have the first half of the year, and if you're talking about having your All Ireland finals maybe in July. But that, come August, September, that when the weather is still good, pitches are still in great nick. Yeah. It's just going to add to an even better club championship, and you're not going to be pulling, dragging guys between 2 panels, or a manager isn't going to be saying, can I take him for this night? I need him for this night just for a tactical session. Well, we have a club championship game at the weekend, and it's putting especially a guy who's trying to break through, Nathan, a young guy in maybe his early 20s. He's like, if I don't go to the intercounty session tonight, I mightn't be in with a chance of making this panel. But then you're saying to yourself, the devil on the other side of your shoulder saying, like, it's my club at the weekend. So I just think keep them separate. I think it's worked really well this year. So I just that'd be my opinion anyway. Just keep them separate, and don't put guys in that situation. Like,
this year we've obviously had club before county. If it goes to a situation then, Shane, where it's county before club and county finishes, say, mid-July, what do you see the club player doing for the first 6 months of the year?
Oh, I'd say if the pubs open up again, sure, that would be a no-brainer.
Would there be a concern there that it does maybe ends up in a very short season, that you've got a sort of 10, 12-week spell? Surely you want to be playing a bit more than that
for the club
player.
Yeah, but that was the window now, like, and I mean, sure, like, a lot of club teams are going to go back pre-season maybe 2-3 months before the first game. So I mean, if the club thing is starting at the end of July, start of August, lads are going back in May or June, absolutely busting for road, and they can't wait. Maybe they'd have a bit done by the time May comes, and might be in better shape than they would be come January, when we're after eating 2 or 3 turkeys and polishing off a few slabs and stuff like that. Like, I mean, so lads will be in better form come May or June. So I see with lads in all the clubs around here, like that, everyone was in great form going training because they knew this will all be done in 6 or 7 weeks. And you know what? You'll get your 2 or 3 round games, and if you're good enough, you'll still be involved. And if you're not good enough, well then don't blame the fixtures. Go in and have a look at yourself, and go in and have a look at your own club and say, maybe we need to reassess things if we didn't get out of the group this year. It's not the fixtures' fault. We had 2 or 3 games to get a chance out of the group. We didn't. We need to be better next year, and we need to try and get to a quarter-final, semi-final or final stage. And I'm not a fan of people cribbing about, oh, we only had 2 or 3 games and that was it was over. But you had 2 or 3 great chances. If you'd won the games, you'd still be going. Like, we're not. I mean, my own club got knocked out a couple of weeks ago in the quarter-final. We're not involved anymore. And what can we do? We have to reassess. We have to try and get better and try and push on for next year. So I just think 10 or 12 weeks would be loads. Like, I don't think a club player wants much more than that, to be honest.
Right. Listen, we're talking to 2 outlads here. What about the 18, 19-year-olds? Are they happy with that, Darren? Do you think if, say, this GPA proposal came in and it's a sort of inter-county season, 23 or so weeks where they can go back training mid-January, league commences mid to late February, and it all rolls into a championship done up by the end of July. Is that enough for the club player to have a sort of 3-month spell after that?
I think it is, to be honest. Like, I'm dealing with a lot of younger lads now at the moment with Mid-Kerry and with Glenbeigh, and I genuinely think the season, the way it has been, is just too long for them. They can't keep the interest going for the full season. They can't keep the commitment going. They tend to get bored.
Right.
That was the last year was my first year playing club, and I found the hardest thing was, and I was used to turning up to training an hour beforehand. They just couldn't keep it going. They all needed a couple of weeks off here, and I needed a few weeks off there because the season it went on for too long. Like, it was going from January and it was start all the way into November, December.
What about the proposals then the GPA have put forward? No provincial football competitions, a league-based championship seedings going in then into the All-Ireland Championship, Darren, and every match matters essentially, that there's a knock-on effect to every game, and there's no inter-county warm-up competitions anymore, and the league is going to have real consequence come championship. Is that the ideal scenario, do you think, for the county game?
Yeah, I think so. Look, we've been on about the county game for a long time. We're on about the provincial championships for a long time and how they haven't been working, and people will argue, oh, Connacht's been competitive and Ulster's very competitive, but we need change. This is the prime time to do it. If it doesn't work, we can always go back and try it again. But I do think that, and even Shane was saying there about the games, and they all mean something. And if you're not playing later on in the year, then you go back and you have a look in the mirror and say, do we need to reevaluate what we're doing individually and collectively? But I think it's a great chance to try something different, give every game major importance, because you'd see a lot of the games now and teams are only going through the motions, only saving themselves for later on the year.
Yeah, Shane, what are your thoughts on the GPA proposals as to how the season might stack up?
Yeah, I think it'd be good. Like, I suppose their proposal being the split season, Nathan, is it like?
Yeah, well, I guess a lot of it, what they said, was focused around the football championship, and everyone seems generally quite happy with the hurling championship, though I see Kieran Shannon had a good proposal that maybe everybody should play everybody in the hurling championship, and then you still divide it up by province, and the top 3 from each progress to the knockout stages. But in terms of that, every game having an impact for later in the season, rather than having a separate league campaign that's particularly in hurling with the success of the round robin, it does feel as though the league has been diluted massively.
Yeah, it does. I suppose the league is kind of meaning less and less as the years go on. So, I mean, there was a time there when in the league where if you had a really good league campaign, people would consider you for an all-star. And I think that's not even mentioned now. Like, what I mean? The league is just meaning less and less. And as Darren said, rightly so, league games are just for trying out things now. And people are going through the motions. And, like, I don't think anyone really has the same graph for the league as was there maybe 10, 12 years ago, when getting a league medal was really, really important. Nowadays, guys are after the big one and that's it. Like, and that's fair enough too. So, I don't think the league needs to be as long. It can be shortened, and if you shorten the league, then you open up a window for maybe giving a little bit extra period of time in the championship games. The round robin was such a success in the hurling, I suppose, because you've so many teams, especially the Munster, that so many teams are so even. Like I know that it's nowhere near the same in the football, like in the Munster side of things anyway. And that's why it was such a success. Everybody was such on an even keel, like and the games were brilliant. Like, but I mean, I think. This year now you're going to have a much shorter window, and you won't. You'll get your 2 chances in hurling. If you lose your first game, you get your second chance.
Yeah.
If they did bring back the round robin next year into the hurling, I think a lot of people would be all for it again. And as I said, the games are very, they are competitive, and they often do mean a lot. Like, because look what happened Galway last year. Like, in the round robin, every game, every poke of the ball meant a lot, because the teams are so close, I suppose, in the hurling. Whereas in the football, you have probably 2 or 3, and the rest are playing catch up. Like, whereas I suppose we're lucky in regards to hurling that we've 7, 8, 9 teams there that that could kind of match each other on the day. So. Yeah, I think I would keep the hurling the way it is. I think the window is there to play off the hurling championship the way it's been done the last couple of years anyway. Like.
All right, Shane, great stuff as always.
Cheers, Nathan. Thanks a mil.
Darren, get back in, doing a roaring trade in chicken wings, I'd expect.
Yeah, great chicken wings there.
We'll get
great
down.
Chicken wings.
We'll get down at some stage. Just getting Dart and Kerry. Get back in, do a bit of work. Thanks a lot.
No bother. See you later, guys.
Darren Sullivan there. Quick break.
Off the ball on News Talk.